Travel back with me to 2013. My husband and I had just found out that we were pregnant. We were thrilled. We went in for that first ultrasound, the one where your baby looks like a little bean. 2 days later, an acceptance letter arrived from an amazing graduate program, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. It was a multidisciplinary program in social innovation, a field I desperately wanted to pursue. 40 young Canadians had been chosen for an eight-month program that involved distance learning and 4 intensive week-long modules in Waterloo, Ontario. Our travel, accommodations, tuition, and everything was fully covered by Foundation. But my excitement quickly turned to disappointment when I realized that my due date fell right in the middle of the 8 months. Missing even 1 day of class would result in forfeiting and failing. After a few conversations with my friends and husband, I worked up the courage to call the program director and announce that I was going to do it anyways. I knew going into it there was a good chance I would fail, but it was the last year the program was being offered, so either I could try and fail or not try at all. And I suspected that the regret would feel worse than failing. And the next 8 months turned out to be a phenomenal experience. My daughter, the one here today, was born 5 weeks before my 3rd intensive. Luckily, she was a pretty easygoing baby. My husband brought his work on the road to help me with the long days, classes that started at 8 a.m., and assignments that went till midnight. I was stepping out of class every 45 minutes for diaper changes, and I'd leave a recorder behind to capture the part of the lecture that I might miss. Classmates took turns holding her so I could jot down notes, and for some it was their first time holding an infant. We were all navigating the marvelous unknown together. During a breakout, one of my classmates, a young man who'd worked in the financial and technology sector, asked me, "Well, you're nursing and we're talking. What should I do? Should I keep looking at you in the eyes or look away? How does this work?" And I appreciated the opportunity to dialogue, surface the uncomfortable, and pave a new path together. Doing grad school with a baby wasn't just transformative for me. It was also eye-opening for the faculty. One of them pulled me aside as our program was nearing an end to apologize.
She admitted that she hadn't really invested time or energy in me or my work because she'd expected me to drop out after the baby was born. She'd just sort of taken it as given. I'm sure that's not the first time a young mother has been written off as a meaningful contributor, probably not the last. Fast forward a couple years, it's January 2016, and I've been working to build a new learning platform for adults with cognitive disabilities called Kudos. It's a concept that comes out of a unique way of working in the social services sector, starting with ethnographic research and then prototyping using human-centered design principles. Our big launch event for Kudos was at the end of January, and my second child was due 3 weeks later. Before the launch, I was on Roundhouse Radio sharing my excitement about Kudos. I was sitting there, 9 months pregnant, breathless after every sentence. The host, Carol Thorbs, asked me what it was like to bring 2 babies into the world at the same time. And my first inclination was to say that it was hard and overwhelming. That would have been true, but truer was that it was exhilarating, complementary, and symbiotic somehow. I remember lying in bed during that first week with my little one as I was recovering from labor. I was reviewing the final version of our iOS app in the iTunes store. When you picture that, how does it make you feel? For some reason, I felt guilty. It was what I really wanted, to stay a little involved. But I had a story playing in my head that it wasn't good for my child. But in that moment, she was sleeping and I was resting. I was enjoying myself and enjoying her. Is it really so bad not to be prepared to drop everything that you're working on when you have a baby? I'm still not quite sure where that guilt comes from. Over the next 5 months, I worked part-time with her in the studio. She slept in the carrier while I worked at a standing desk. Unlike my first daughter, she was colic and pretty unhappy between 4 and 11 p.m. every day. Getting out of the house, feeling like I could contribute somewhere, helped me find balance and get perspective for those tough evenings. And if you're wondering, in my experience, having a baby in the professional or academic environment has always been a positive dynamic. Few of my friends have taken their babies to work with them, and when preparing for today, I could really only think of 4 or 5 in hundreds. But I did check in with them, and they all said the same thing. There have been dozens of conferences and workshops where when we've had our baby, it's given us access to thought leaders, helped us form stronger, more personal relationships with stakeholders and colleagues, and most of all, helped the conversation turn from philosophical to grounded. My colleagues are extremely flexible and gracious and often take turns bouncing Luna or moving team meetings to my home if I'm housebound with a sick kid. My co-lead at Kudos and I have chosen a co-leadership model for many reasons, and one is to build the resiliency of redundancy, being able to step in for each other when needed. We're both young mothers, and it's inevitable that we'll need to respond occasionally to the needs of our children during a 9-to-5 work week. At home, I have a spouse who's truly committed to finding ways for both of us to pursue our professional and dreams and co-parent. We've had our struggles and found ourselves falling unintentionally into gender roles before, but the conversation about how to do this better keeps going. It's our work in progress. And my parents, especially my mother, has been a massive support all along the way. Her energy knows no bounds. We have a number of neighbors who are quick to step in anytime we need childcare or help for a few hours. My two spirited daughters were born in 2014 and 2016. It's hard to say what the future holds for them, but I want to be part of equipping them for the world at home and the world for them when I'm at work, just like my mom did for me. I'm in awe of her contributions to the fields of linguistics, nursing, and her presence and leadership as a parent. Fast forward to yesterday. I was facilitating an important discussion with my colleagues, and as I started to make a key point, my hand slipped into my jacket. I heard a noise and pulled out a toy microphone that my daughter had gifted to my jacket pocket that morning. And ironically, Princess Poppy's courageous song brought up all my self-doubt. That's embarrassing. What a mom moment. This is totally messing up the professional vibe I'm trying to put out there. How did I let this happen? And I realized that despite having walked this path for a couple of years now, I'm still struggling to redefine what it means to be professional. Gone are the days where I get my self-worth by putting in the longest hours, attending every networking event and late meeting. So I'm embracing a new definition for professional. Thoughtful, deliberate, experienced, purposeful, and frequently accessorizing with a toy or two.